Hey, Abby. Hope you had a good day. Yeah, what a day. It was just full gas from the gun. So I had a bike change in the neutral, and ending up like taking the start, at the very back. Unfortunately, it went from the gun, so I saw the front of the bunch 30 k's later, which is a bit frustrating. I had average legs at the beginning because obviously from yesterday, I had some, some not bad legs but heavy legs, and finally we came back on the main group, and we found out that this breakaway was gone, and we were with Barbara, so I tried to help her getting bottles, highs and stuff. And then we came into the final with all those climbs. So I was just thinking, yeah, it was supposed to be a sprint stage, like a lot of stage this week, but it ended up being a solo rider going and then a reduced bunch, sprinting for the fourth place. So yeah, we were a bit disappointed in the team. Like we were really hoping for at least having one or two riders able to sprint. But well, tomorrow must be a sprint stage, even if I don't believe it, with full categorized climb. Yeah, let's see how it's played tomorrow. I will try to find my way to be in the first position for the start and maybe try another breakaway, and see what's happening. But it would be nice. Maybe I'm thinking, yeah, because the day after is super hard, then SDWorks is just letting a break with non-dangerous riders in it. So now that I took 12 minutes today, probably I won't be an obstacle to their GC anymore. So it would be nice to be at the front. Let's see. And I'm also like really glad that the two of my teammates were in the really, really last group, who were first noted as out of delay on the GC. But in the end, they were stopped by a train, so they had to wait for more than 2 minutes. So they got back those 2 minutes and they can start tomorrow. So we're happy to be with 7 at the start still and enjoying so far the tour.
Bienvenue au Tour de France Femmes, c'est la 6e étape, Albi-Blagnac. À toi, Abby.
All right, we were brought into this episode of the Wheel Talk podcast on the Escape Collective with Audrey Cordon-Ragot's diary from yesterday. She sent it in at about 1 a.m., so it wasn't just a long day for the press, it was also a long day for the riders. I think everyone's struggling with the late stages over here in Europe. This is where we are. Before we get started with today's episode, my name is Abby Mickey. I'm joined by
Kate Wagner
and Matt Deneve. Hello.
And we, the three of us, plus a bunch of other pretty cool people, are building the best damn bike website on the planet. We need your help, though. Join Escape Collective and get access to all of our content. There was some pretty great content on there today, if I do say so myself. Monthly subscriptions start at only $6.99 US dollars a month, or you can become an annual member and save 30%. For more information and to support our vision, head to escapecollective.com/join. That's Escape Collective, like escape to free yourself from your confines. Collective, a group of people who have like-minded views.com. I have nothing for that /join to become one of us.
Can you tell it's getting late in the tour?
Okay, we have a ton to talk about today. Stage 6 of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift. And we got to start with how the day started. And that was Danny Stam, the DS, the manager, team manager for SD Works, getting kicked off the race for the incident yesterday with Demi Vollering getting a flat and then following the car. My mom said that Iris did an awesome job of explaining what happened in the race yesterday. So thanks so much to Iris for joining us yesterday to walk us through that. But yeah, Danny Stam out of the race. Massive decision by the jury to do that. I think that they're cracking down pretty hard, which we'll get to later on in the episode as well.
Yep.
And a massive loss for SC Works. They still have Anna van der Breggen. Not too bad of a person to have in the car. But Danny's been the director for a really long time and has been a massive part of a lot of their wins. So I think for Demi going into the Tourmalet stage, this is a big hit.
Yeah. And if they were frustrated last night about the 20-second penalty and the points that they lost, then they would have been even more frustrated this morning to find out that Stam had been kicked off the race. As our food just arrives here. The official decision was made based on a couple of things. One, the commissaires went back and looked at the vision from yesterday's stage, but also, which I assume they must have done yesterday, but I don't know if they had more information or what it was, but they said in their announcement that part of it was on review. But the other part was apparently Stam had some pretty inappropriate words for the jury, which contributed to them kicking him off the race. So we don't know what those words were, but they obviously weren't too impressed.
Yeah, apparently he had a lot to say about the jury, and the jury didn't like that. So it wasn't all his maneuvers, and it wasn't because Demi was pacing. It was because of, he came up the left side, like Iris said yesterday, and it was really dangerous. I chatted with Heidi van de Viver today for a story that will go up on the site tomorrow, and she said that the jury seems to be really strict at this race, more so than others, that things like what Danny did yesterday happened in the men's peloton, but the jury often turns a blind eye. But it seems like at this race, they're kind of cracking down a bit on, I'm not really sure why they're making the women's peloton an example, but for 2 days now, it's been pretty fascinating to see their decision process.
Do we want to talk about the other ejection from the race now?
Yeah, we can talk about it now. It falls under this category. Laura Hentala and the DS of the AG Insurance-Soudal Quickstep team were both thrown out of the race today for apparently holding on to the car. I chatted with her and she said she wasn't holding on to the car. She would have been out of the race anyway because she wasn't feeling great, but to kind of have that mark on her reputation doesn't feel very good. Another DS thrown out of the race, really.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I wonder what actually happened then if she's saying she didn't do it and the jury's saying that she did. And you were saying it wasn't captured on the TV broadcast, was it? So, yeah, who knows?
Literally the last time I can remember this happening in the men's peloton was when one of the jumbo DSs, I can't remember which one it was, I think it was Marijn Zeeman, I might have to double check on that, was kicked out because he got mad at someone for checking Roglic's bike and like taking it apart. And there's like a really famous image of him like sitting on his laptop by the side of the road watching the race. And so Johnny Long, one of our contributors, brought that up this morning, and it's giving laptop at the side of the race vibes. But yes, I have no idea why they're making an example out of the women's peloton, because the men's peloton gets away with like everything all the time. There's literally like only one exception to that. So who knows? Maybe it'll stick for them too.
It does mean that two teams are down a DS going into one of the crucial stages of the race, and two teams that are favored for the overall. We have Ashleigh and Pasio now down a DS, and Demi Vollering down a DS. So a big blow to both of those teams and both of those riders. I think especially Ash, because Vollering wins a lot. Ash doesn't get a ton of chances to win, and she's really close. So I think for her, it's a massive blow.
I'm always curious about how much of a role the DSs have in a crucial moment like that, though. Like on the Tourmalet, like I know they're obviously important, but on the Tourmalet, it's going to come down to who's got the legs, right? And a rider of Ash's experience isn't going to need all that much coaching to know what she has to do. So, yeah, it's not going to be great. Obviously, she'd rather have Knaven there to help her out, but I wonder how much of an impact it's really going to have.
I think for a race like tomorrow, it's more going to make an impact in the build-up to the Tourmalet, and if anything is to go wrong, having someone with that experience in the car makes a massive difference. And also just having that security of knowing that you have someone to back you up that has your best interest at heart, hopefully. I think that's where it would... I think you're right. Like, Ash is super experienced, and on the Tourmalet, she's not going to need someone in her ear telling her what to do. She'll hopefully race on field, but be way more exciting that way than if someone's telling her what to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the stages before the Tourmalet are going to be, and especially the descent off the Col de Dustman are going to be really...
The Col de what?
are going to be a lot more stressful for two of the riders in the bunch than it would have been yesterday.
Yeah, that's fair.
But a lot of other things happened today. Should we dive into it? The day started, and everybody thought it would be a sprint stage.
We've said that a few times this week, haven't we?
Except for Audrey Cordon-Ragot, who in her audio diary that you just heard, obviously, she just said that she didn't buy it. She didn't think it was going to be a sprint stage with 4 categorized climbs. She thought that it was too hard for the peloton to stay together.
And she was right.
Well, once again, the peloton went flat out from the gun. There was attacks from the very beginning of the race. The race was super hard. It was another really hot day, and that kind of slowly broke the peloton apart. There was a single rider that went off the front earlier in the race, another Canyon Strand rider after their success yesterday. Agnieszka Soyka went off the front early. She was eventually joined by Sandra Alonso and Emma Norsgaard, and the three of them worked really well together the entire race. It was only in the latter part of the race that they dropped Sandra, Sarah Tizzett WNT rider, and the two of them rode to the line together. Behind them, it was mostly Jumbo-Visma and DSM doing a lot of the work. Obviously, without Lorena Wiebes, who left yesterday with stomach issues, SC Works didn't need to do any work today, and nobody really looked to them to do work.
Yeah, they put in a token effort with about 3.5 Ks to go. I think Breda Vold came to the front for about, 15 seconds and then, pieced out back to the back of the bunch. But also shout out to UAE, Team ADQ. They did quite a bit of work today. Lizzie Hold was on the front there for a bunch, and they did a really good job.
The whole chase really kind of reached a really crucial snag. I wrote in my piece today, I thought that they would catch... Do I do the end now? But I thought that they would catch the breakaway. The timing of everything was right. They had them within their sights within this final stretch. But then on the parkour, there was this really hairy corner with the tram lines that caused a huge crash. And that really interrupted the flow of the chase. And I think that without that, it would have been much, much closer. But I'll be able to leave it to you to tell everyone who won.
Yeah, we'll get there in a second. I want to talk a little bit more about what happened with in the stage, because there was, apart from a couple of the teams that have sprinters still in the race who would have really hoped to win a stage today, we're going to talk about Charlotte Kool and Marianne Vos, who are walking away from this race with nothing. There was also teams that wanted to make the race aggressive, notably FDJ-Suez.
Yeah, so many attacks from them. It's like a mouthful of chips here. Grace Brown, Lois Adegeist was up the front for a while. Cavalli was on the attack. There was somebody else as well, but they were just peppering the peloton with attacks there for a while. And there was a lot of attacks there. They were very keen to get things moving and ultimately couldn't get it clear.
Yeah, Lidl-Trek was another really aggressive team. We saw Lizzie on the attack at one point. Throwback for the haven't seen her on the attack for quite a long time, so it was really awesome to see. Amanda Spratt was up there making moves. But we have an audio diary from one of the FDJ riders, Vittoria, who had a much better day today than she's been having this week and got amongst it in the sprint. So let's hear from Vittoria.
Hi, Escape and Abby, stage 6. Well, it was predicted to be a bunch sprint, but in the end, the breakaway won. And I think in the bunch, everyone is really tired. The start was, nervous again with some ups and downs. And when the breakaway was formed, there was a moment the bunch relaxed. I think Sprinters team wanted to wait until after the small climbs of the day to work. But I think that the breakaway was very, very strong. Of course, I congratulate with Emma because she did an impressive ride, and I think she really deserved the win. For me, I tried to sprint. Maybe I wasted a bit too much energy in the final kilometers to find a good position. For a moment, I even believed it, but because with 500 meters to go, I was in a good position. But when I started the sprint, I felt that I was really, really tired. My legs were empty. But I'm happy with this result because if I think about where I was a few days ago, this gives me a bit of more confidence. But now I'm already thinking about tomorrow's stage. It's the Queen stage. I think everyone for the GC was waiting for that since the start, because the stages have been really hard in the tour, because there were no flat stages. It's always up and down. But in the end, we haven't seen much of the fight for the GC. So tomorrow it will be crucial, and it's the 7th stage. As I said, everyone will be very tired, but I think there will be fireworks up to the Col d'Aspen and after the Tourmalet, and I hope the team will do good work to put our leaders in good positions for the climbs, and after I think they will they will have to do for themselves.
All right, so as Kate just mentioned, there was a big crash on the tram lines with 1 kilometer to go leading into the sprint, which impacted the chase quite a bit and also took down a lot of riders. Ash got caught up in that, and Balsamo went down, Tamara Dronova went down, a lot of riders went down, and it was a really hairy moment. 2 of our audio diarists, Jess Allen and Ashleigh Moolman Pasio, both said that it was unnecessary to have those tram lines at that point in the race, so close to the finish. Had it maybe been somewhere else, it wouldn't have been as dangerous. But with 1 kilometer to go, it was not a great decision, I think.
Yeah, Lotte Kopecky was asked in her yellow jersey press conference after the stage what she thought of the finale, and she said generally it wasn't too bad. There were a lot of roundabouts on the run-in, but she wasn't concerned about that because it meant that it pushed the bunch single file, which kind of made it safer, was her words. But yeah, she called out that roundabout with 1 kilometer to go with the tram lines and said that it was probably just pushing it a little bit too much from the course designers, but finished by saying there's nothing that she or anyone else could do. So yeah.
Let's really quick hear from Jess and Ash, their thoughts on the day.
Hey, Abby. So today, once again, a day that seemed to be super predictable turned out to be the exact opposite. So I think this Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift has really kept everyone on the edge of their seats and guessing to the final seconds. Once again, the breakaway lasted. I'm really happy to see Emma take the stage win. She was a teammate in the past. I know she works super hard, and it's really nice to see her get success at the highest level. It was relatively stressful in the peloton. I did have as easy a day as possible. Once again, my teammates did an incredible job of keeping me safe, keeping me hydrated, keeping me well fed, and helping me save as much energy as possible. We were doing a really good job with the leadership of Romy Kasper in the final kilometers. But with that train, track, and chicane in the road, there was an incident which I was caught behind. Thankfully, I didn't go down. I just had to uncleat. And thankfully, it was in the last 3 kilometers. So nothing lost. I'm just really grateful that I managed to keep it upright. It seemed really silly to have that, unnecessary danger that late in the race. Just wishing everyone who was involved, if anyone came down hard, that they're fine. And then, onwards to the Tourmalet, the big Queen stage tomorrow with Aspen and the Tourmalet. So far, we've been ticking all the boxes. My legs are feeling good and, confident that we can have a really good day tomorrow. So let's see what's in store for us. Hey, mate. Another day done. Stage 6 ticked off the list. As a team, we wanted to get into the early break today, but unfortunately, it didn't happen. I think, when you're this far into a tour, it's not a lack of commitment or anything. It's more just if you've got the legs or not, really. Unfortunately, we just didn't have the legs to go with it. And we also had Alex as a super fast finisher, so we backed that as well. Didn't quite get up there in the sprint. Probably a bit of a too dangerous of a final, in my opinion. And there was a big crash there
towards the end, and I just don't think it's really necessary to be having tram tracks in the last 800 meters of a sprint stage. So yeah, hopefully everyone's okay that came down. And big congratulations to Emma Norsgaard. It's she's had a pretty rough season, and it's super cool to see her get the win. A very well liked rider as well, and super good. And very exciting final. But yeah, tomorrow's the big day, the big Tourmalet day, the big GC battle, which will be, I think, a super exciting race. Just had a gaze at the weather, actually, and looks like could be storming on the top, so that'll make things a bit interesting. So yeah, we're going to best support Anna as much as we can. She's climbing really well, and hopefully she can have a super stage, and we're all in for her, and then the rest of us, it's just going to be making sure we get to the top in time cut, really, before the time trial on Sunday. So I've got some mates from Girona coming to watch tomorrow, camping out in the Tourmalet. One of my friends, Sally's, made a flag with my face all over it, which is pretty funny. So it'll be really cool to ride it. I've never ridden it before. A couple of girls have done recon, so they know what they're in for. But it's going to be a super tough stage, and yeah, we're ready for it. Hope you're well.
Okay, I've been really excited to get to this part of the podcast. Emma Norsgaard, after just an epic day on the bike, she was instrumental in the break, having the momentum that they did, and she ended up dropping Agnieszka for the win, and a massive win from her. She crashed out of the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift last year on stage 5. It was if you remember, the longest stage of that race, and there was a massive pileup with 40 kilometers to go. One of the worst possible crashes you can have when it's just a straight road and the bunch is just kind of riding along and they're not going very fast. She broke her collarbone. Ever since then, it's been kind of a roller coaster. Like, she had an incredible 2021 season. She started out getting second at La Semaine and second at Bruges de Pana. She won finally at Ceratizit Festival Elsa Jacobs. She won both road stages and the overall. And then she kind of just carried that throughout the season and had a really great 2021 campaign. 2022, she started to kind of change as a rider, and I'll get to that in a second. But she didn't win as much that season. Still, going into the Tour last year, she'd won a Giro stage. She'd had some pretty good results, and it was looking good going into the Tour. And she crashed out on the 5th stage. Ever since then, she's kind of struggled to come back from that. She crashed again in Strada and broke her collarbone again, and she was out for the whole Classics campaign, which is her target of the season, and came back for the Vuelta, where she finished second on a stage behind Marianne Vos, and then she was able to win her national championship time trial again for the second year in a row, and she had a pretty okay Baloise Ladies Tour, finishing on the podium for, I think, 3 stages, but coming into the Tour, she said she was sick at the end of Baloise. She didn't know if she would even be selected. And for a rider who in 2021 showed so much promise, it was really a rough year and a half for her. So to take this win is just a massive confidence boost for her. A really interesting turn of events for Movistar, with 2 stage wins of the Tour so far and not by Annemiek, is kind of... We've never really seen that before. We didn't see Movistar give anyone any leeway at the Giro. It was all in for Annemiek all the time. And Fleur de Mackay got like a tiny bit of freedom on one stage, but they didn't have any. They had all their eggs in one basket. And for this Tour, we've really seen them let their other riders shine, which has been super cool. And this win for Emma is just, I mean, it's amazing. And you could tell how much it meant to her at the finish. She thanked her husband, her team, and she was in tears. Fleur de Mackay was holding both sides of her face. Just everyone was so happy for her. Annemiek was happy for her. Kopecky was happy for her. Every audio diary I've listened to is happy for her. She's one of those riders that she just lights up the peloton with her smile and her laugh. And it's, I gotta say, like, my favorite win of the race so far.
I just wanted to touch on something really interesting that she said in her or in her exit interview, which, like, they're like, "Oh, you're a bit of a sprinter," and she's like, "I'm not really a sprinter. Like, my role is changing," essentially, is what she said. And I feel like this is really fascinating to me, as someone coming from the men's peloton, because like those roles rarely ever change in the men's peloton. Maybe a sprinter becomes a lead out guy, but like what was interesting is that to win from a breakaway isn't just like a matter of like just deciding to do it. You have to have like really remarkable skills, not only in just like being able to suffer in the wind for a really long time, but also having a kind of diplomacy about you, which like, as you said, because she's one of just the most liked people in cycling, that she made a really interesting point in the press conference, which was that like she just kept encouraging her companions to stay with her, and she kept egging them on, and she's like, oh, I'm sure they're hearing the same thing in the radios and whatever, but they really stayed together until like the most crucial moment. And I think that is the hardest thing for breakaway riders to do. It's not that they can just time trial in the wind and like take poles or whatever. It's that if they're really strong, and like Norsgaard arguably has like the strongest sprint of any of those three girls, she has to convince the other two that it's worthwhile to be in a breakaway with her. And like that's the thing I think that is the hardest for people making that kind of adjustment from being like one kind of rider to maybe pursuing more breakaways. And so it just gives you like kind of an insight into the psychology of cycling, which isn't just about like suffering, but is also about, you know, these very important interpersonal relationships.
Yeah, and it's funny because Matt in the press room turned to me and asked, I'm going to bring it up.
Well, I was going to bring it up and kind of use it as a moment to kind of, be humble about my mistake. But you bringing it up just makes it sound like having a dig.
I take it back. You can bring it up.
We were saying in the press room when the three riders were away that we were trying to work out what was going on. And I was surprised that the Norsgaard was there because, yeah, while she is a rider that is transitioning to, you know, more of a classics type rider, she is still a strong sprinter. And I figured her best shot would be waiting in the bunch for a bunch kick. But I guess she has progressed more as a rider than I realized. And what was she doing in the break? Well, she was winning the stage. So good on her. And I'm really curious what this does for her now. Where does she go to now? Will it be the classics next year? You know, what are her goals from here? I think this is a big breakthrough win for her and gets her right back on track after, as you said, a difficult period. So, what next?
I can actually answer that for you. I did a feature with Emma right after the Vuelta, and we talked about what her focus was. The reason that she is kind of transitioning out of being a sprinter is because she really doesn't like the hectic fast finishes. She said it after stage 3 of the tour that she doesn't like sprints like this that are dangerous, and she'd rather sprint from a small group. So while she still has a kick, and she'll always have a kick, she's got that fast twitch muscle. She doesn't like sprinting from a big group because of the danger. She also, I think, thought, rightly or wrongly, that she just can't compete against the likes of Lorena Wiebes. And looking at Lorena and looking at the challenge of beating Lorena in a sprint, she thought, okay, well, I can become a really good classics rider, and then I don't have to sprint against Lorena, but I can still sprint faster than a lot of the people I'll be racing against. And that's the transition she made. So going into the future seasons, she loves the classics. She has so much fun in those races. And she told me that she wants to focus on winning the classics and being an incredible teammate for her team during the stage races. So transitioning into being someone who can climb if she needs to. Nothing like we're going to see tomorrow in stage 7, but she was hoping that yesterday's stage 5, would have been a little bit easier for her, I think. Climbs like that is something that she's going to want to be able to do so she can hold on to that group and do work for future GC riders for the team, for Liana. And that's kind of the thought process she had when she decided, okay, I don't want to be a bunch sprinter. Other points to make from the sprint. So Charlotte Kool finished 2nd and Lotte Kopecky finished 3rd. She looked very upset about that. You wrote a story about it.
Yeah, I did. I wrote a story focused sort of more on Skalniak's Soska just because she got she was in the winning move, but couldn't hold on to Norsgaard at the end there. But yeah, focusing on the riders that came close today. And Cole was one of them, finishing 2nd in the sprint. Kopecky was 3rd, finishing in the sprint. And as I wrote, I think, Kopecky was obviously frustrated to not get the win, particularly given how close they were. But she's going to come away from this tour having won a stage, having worn yellow for 6 stages, and maybe with more success in the team still to come, who knows. But for Cole, it was kind of, today was her chance after the drama of a few days ago with, who was chasing for the sprint and missing out on that one. And she said that in her interview with Eurosport at the end, she used the word nightmare 3 times to describe how it played out. She said Five for Georgia gave her a perfect lead out. She was totally in control and did a great sprint, but it means absolutely nothing because it's second on the day and they're there to win. And yeah, I've seen very few people as downcast as Charlotte Kool was at the finish today. Speaking to Eurosport, she was just completely devastated by that. So yeah, she'll leave the race without a win. Marianne Vos will leave the race without a win, which, we've been talking about how we expected her to come away with the victory. And yeah, it was a close one today for sure.
Yeah, I'm super bummed for Voss. It's not been a great year for her, so I would have loved to see her win a stage, and I hope that the races to come she has a little bit more luck. I think with the form she's got now, Worlds is maybe out of the question. Grace Brown said that the course is an absolute beast, so I think it's going to be a lot more selective than we maybe would have initially thought, which means that with her current form, I think Voss is not going to be in the rainbow jersey in 2 weeks' time, but I still love her. So she's still the GOAT. You can't take that away from her. Okay, we have a couple more audio diaries. So let's hear from Audrey Cordon-Ragot from today's stage and Lucinda Brand.
Hey, happy. So about today, or not even today, about the tour in general. Yeah, I just think this year is pretty crazy fast. Like today we were hoping for easy day before tomorrow's Queen stage, but in the end it went full gas from the gun again, and yeah, it happened to be a sprint, but yeah, we were missing our sprinter unfortunately. So yeah, we were a bit disappointed for this last occasion of a sprint, but tomorrow is another big day with big mountains. It's gonna be quite kind of a first time in the tour that we are climbing a very, how I can say that, famous mountain. And yeah, I did the recon of this stage. It's actually, yeah, the last part of it was with those 2 climbs with Aspa and Tourmalet. But the first part is pretty okay. Maybe even kind of a bunch of riders can try to break away. And then probably they will be caught on one of the big climbs of the day, but it's very possible to break away and to take some advantage of this first part of the course. So let's see how it's written. For my part, I want to have a easy day, if we can call it a easy day, because you still need to climb. But I would like to be in the gruppetto, to chill out, and having a good group to come in at the right time, and then having the freshest legs as possible for the time trial. That would be perfect. So yeah, what else? My hairs are becoming more and more terrible day after day. I wake up and I don't do my hair anymore, so I just look shit. Got a sore spot this morning, so it means that I'm super tired. But well, I still enjoy it with my teammates. We have good bonding all together. It's very nice to be there all together still with 7, and we hope to finish this tour with 7. That's the last goal of this tour.
Yes, diary Lucinda, day 6. Yes, now it is. It was Sprinters Day. It was supposed to be Sprinters Day. It was still a hard start, if you ask me. Or I just have not good legs anymore. And yeah, there was some speed in all day actually, because we had this breakaway. They started chasing full gas in the final, and yeah, all the teams were committed for that. It was a very tricky final, I have to say, not super safe, unfortunately, because the rest of the race is super safe. I have to say that too. And we didn't time it correct as a whole bunch because we didn't. My teammates Lizzie, she's sure that we would have catched also the last breakaway rider if we would not have crashed. So then we had a perfect timing. But yeah, so unfortunately there was a crash in the final. And I hope everybody's just okay. It's always a pity when something like this happens. Did we have any funny things? Well, yeah, our DS forgot she was putting on the button while she had a full gas laugh in the car while we were suffering. So yeah, it was kind of funny thing of the day, I think. That's it. Tomorrow I try to have a good look at the sceneries.
Okay, a little bit of bad news from the day. So you're not going to hear an audio diary from Veronica Ewers. Unfortunately, she went down pretty hard and broke her clavicle. So not only does she not get to race Worlds, which would have been a huge thing for her being selected for that team, she also isn't going to get to race up the Tourmalet, which is a massive blow for her. She's an incredible climber, and I think she was really just holding out hope that she could pull something off tomorrow. So a blow to EF Education, TIBCO, Silicon Valley Bank, and a blow to Veronica as well. She's incredibly talented, and she's got so much to offer, so I'm sure that she's going to bounce back stronger than ever, and I can't wait to see that from her. Definitely not how you want to leave the tour.
No, not much more to add to that, but hopefully her recovery is swift, and I assume she'll be going in for surgery for that and back on the bike pretty soon, hopefully. Never nice to see that the crash looked pretty bad, and the footage of her in the ditch there with the medical staff was pretty hard to watch. So, sending her healing vibes and all the best.
Speaking of tomorrow, before we get to tomorrow, we have one more audio diarist who might have a good ride tomorrow, Ella Wyllie. Can't wait to see what she can do on the Tourmalet, on the Col du Dustbin. I don't know. I can't get it out of my head now. Like, it's hilarious. Do you want to explain?
Yeah, so for those that didn't catch our preview episode a few weeks ago with Spratty, we had an interesting exchange where the three of us used three different pronunciations for the Col d'Aspin in the space of about 30 seconds, and some keen listeners pointed that out in the Escape Collective Discord in the days afterwards, which I was very glad to see because I had a good chuckle at it in the moment as well, and I was glad that others picked it up. So it will be forever known as the Col du Dustbin. And I'm looking forward to seeing the riders climb the dustbin tomorrow.
So yeah, let's hear from Ella Wyllie.
Stage 6. We are well over halfway. It was good to get another day done. It was so hot today. Wow. The heat, just because we were exposed all day long. Not much tree coverage. It was so hot. I didn't drink enough. That was a bit of a mistake, but it was quite hard because of where the feed zones were, and quite a lot of speed today. And then feeding from the car, like, the pace was pretty on, like, a lot of the time, so it was just a bit tricky. And then there were so many teams feeding at once that it just took ages for the team cars to come. We had the best hotel yesterday, which meant that we literally rode our bikes to the start line, which was so lovely. We still got there with a lot of time, so just lots of time to chill. And then after the stage today, it was only 20 minutes to the hotel, so that is also very much welcome. And this hotel is pretty nice. I think it might be a 4-star. Pretty decent, and it has a pool. Our team checked that out after dinner, just kind of went past and had a look. Dinner was pretty standard. Can't think what else happened in the stage. It was a very fast 15 kilometres to the finish. Long straight road with a lot of road furniture, so lots of roundabouts. So it was just a washing machine, and you had to stay super on top of moving forward in the bunch, because if you weren't moving forward, you'd just be at the back, and I think a few riders dropped. So yeah, and then unfortunately there was a crash on the corner to the finish line. Me and my teammate got slightly stuck behind it. We had to unclip and kind of go around, and my teammate April, I think she actually did fully hit the ground. But yeah, we're all okay and ready to start the Tourmalet stage tomorrow. I'm excited. I'm feeling ready. The legs are definitely have 6 days of racing in them, but I'm excited. So yeah.
Okay, tomorrow.
We're finally here.
But first, we travel up the majestic Pic du Midi and even spend the night. But watch out for bears in the Pyrenees, says Jose about tomorrow's stage in today's historical segment. Bears. I want to see some bears. I love bears. Oh, bears are awesome. Big fan of bears. It's a shame for people who've never seen a bear in their life.
How can something so terrifying and deadly be so bumbling and innocuous?
Have you seen the TikTok of the bear like jumping on the swing?
It's time to climb the mighty Tourmalet. It's mostly unknown territory for the women's peloton, although it was part of the 1992 Tour de France for Women, and Leontine van Moorsel won that stage. The Tourmalet was included in the men's race all the way back in 1910, and I told you about that during the men's Tour de France, so you can check that on Escape Collective. The 17.1 kilometre long climb has an average gradient of 7.5%, but the final 8 kilometres are by far the steepest. Just before the top, we find La Mongie. It's where you can take the cable car to the Pic du Midi de Bigorre. In 15 minutes, you are at 2,877 metres, and you can marvel at the Pyrenees during the day, but also stay the night. The rooms were occupied up to recent times by the scientists, astronomers and technicians who worked on the Pic du Midi. At the station, you can see the sunset, watch the stars, dine, sleep, and then rise extra early for the sunrise again. All inclusive for €509 per person. When you go back to the valley, watch out for bears that live in both the French and Spanish Pyrenees. The brown bear, or Ursus arctos, has always lived in the Pyrenees. In the past, the animals were killed for their fur, and young bears were captured and trained to perform for the public in circuses. The bear's habitat was also shrinking due to the development of mines in the mountains and the construction of transport links through the mountains and valleys. And this forced the animals to look for alternative places to live. And then there was also plenty of hunting for the bears. By 1954, only 70 native Pyrenean brown bears remained. In the 1990s, brown bear numbers were so low that they were nearly extinct. In 1996, the species was then reintroduced in the Pyrenees with 3 bears from Slovenia. Local farmers opposed the reintroduction program of the bears from the start, fearing that their livestock would be killed. Still, brown bears are largely vegetarian and rarely kill other animals for food. Maybe they can join in for our last snack of the day. No, it's not cheese, but we are going for something sweet. So help yourself and have some spit cake. This sounds horrible. Yes, but we're not talking saliva, we are talking a spit in the fire. The cake batter is poured onto a conical spit, and from there it bakes and grows. It's a Pyrenean treat called Rocher des Pyrénées, but they have similar cakes around Europe, following the same principle of cooking on an open fire.
The one we've all been waiting for.
Most of the year, right? I've been waiting for this one.
A lot has been talked up about this stage. The back-to-back Col du Spin and
Col du Tourmalet.
the Col du Tourmalet, back to back, 90 kilometers, but a lot of climbing. A lot of climbing in one day.
On. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this in the preview and all that, and there's been lots of talk in the lead up. I still think Van Vleuten's going to attack on the Col du Spin. I still think it's going to be her and Demi at the bottom of the Tourmalet. From there, I don't know what happens, but I'm really excited to see, and I hope we get a battle between more than just those two riders. I hope Ashleigh and Pasio is up there. She's been so good this week. I hope others are in the mix as well. But however it plays out, it's going to be pretty epic. I just hope there are good crowds up there too. You know, it's the sort of climb that a lot of people do tend to come out to for the men's race, and for tomorrow, I hope it's a huge crowd.
I know of a couple people that are throwing a party there tonight, so already there's parties going on. I think we can definitely expect to see some massive crowds up there. There's a lot of people camping out, a lot of friends of riders that are making the trek out there, which is pretty awesome. A lot of family members also showed up overnight to cheer people on tomorrow. I think it's going to be an incredible stage. And I think looking at the GC going into tomorrow is when we're going to find out kind of how we're going to have answers to questions that we've been asking ourselves since the Vuelta. And it's really interesting, I think, looking at how the race has played out so far, that Annemiek, this climb suits Annemiek a lot more than it suits Demi. If Annemiek can hold a steady pace and crack Demi under that, then I think she's got it. But if Demi is explosive enough and just kind of keeps hitting Annemiek with attacks before she cracks herself, then it's going to be Demi's. Like, it's really, I couldn't pick right now who is going to win tomorrow. I don't know.
Yeah. I think we've talked about this in the past, but I think the stage probably suits Annemiek more. I think if it was a single climb, I would probably back Demi. If they just started at the bottom and went straight up the climb, I'd back Demi. But I think with the Col du Dustbin beforehand, I think it just suits Annemiek's endurance and her ability to go long range, and we'll find out whether Volong can go with her or not. But as you say, too close to call, I think. And we've seen so few moments in this race where those two have gone head to head. There have been a couple, and Demi was probably slightly ahead. But as we said at the time, that uphill finish into Rodez, it was only a short climb, and that's nothing compared to what they'll face tomorrow.
Yeah, and as you said, I really hope it's not just a 2-horse race, as Dane Cash would say, but I think that we are going to see some really amazing rides from other people in the race that might surprise us. There's definitely some riders that haven't shown their cards yet, Rihanna Marcus being one of them, and can't wait. I can't wait to see how Cash is climbing. She spent a lot of time working on that in the build up to this race, so I think she could surprise us. I still think it's just going to come down to the two of them. But what's interesting is they're not doing the entire climb. They're only doing 17K of the Col du Tourmalet. So were it a little bit longer, I think Annemiek would be the easy favorite. But I think because they've kind of sheared off 6 kilometers of the climb, that it definitely opens up the race a little bit more.
Just a heads up to anybody that's planning on watching the race on TV tomorrow. Don't tune in at the same time you've been tuning in the last 6 days. This stage is finishing, 2 hours later at least than what they've been finishing, around 2 hours later than what they have been finishing, which is an absolute nightmare for those of us who are going to be on the mountain.
I keep not thinking about it.
Yeah, it's going to be not good. But if you're going to watch it on TV, just check your local guides to make sure that you don't miss it.
I just wanted to... A lot of listeners of Tour de France Daily will know that I'm big into poetry these days. And I've been reading a lot of Rilke. And there's a passage in Rilke about pain that I think really fits tomorrow. It's very short. Is pain, as soon as the plowshare laboring naturally reaches a new layer, is pain not good? And what can it mean the last, interrupting us in the depths of such affliction? If that doesn't describe climbing up the Tourmalet, I don't know what does.
Yep, I think it's going to be a really interesting day. So make sure to tune in, and we'll be back tomorrow with more. No, wait, I want to talk about it because I jumped like 7 spots today.
I like how you forget every time, and it's always a sense of despair that we have to talk about the Escape Collective fantasy competition. But today you're happy about it.
Well, I'm still not happy about it, but I'm definitely happier than I was yesterday.
Shout out to Jess Dupuy, who's leading the Escape Collective Crew League. Good on him.
I love that guy.
Jess is great. And in the overall, Dan N. I think he might have been leading yesterday as well. But it's so tight at the top. Whole bunch of people clustered within a few points of each other with only 2 stages remaining. So, congrats to Dan N. doing a great job. And see if you can hold on to that lead for the last couple of days. Who have you got for tomorrow?
I'm not going to tell you.
I'm locked and loaded. I've got Annemiek, so I don't care.
Interesting choice. Okay, I picked Annemiek for stage 4. So
you used up your pick.
Yeah, but maybe I don't think she's going to win tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow. You'll find out. Thanks so much for listening.
Hello, Abby. Hello, Matt. I'm just leaving unsolicited voicemails to all my favourite podcasts. That's not true. The first one was solicited. This one isn't. But I just wanted to say hello. It's Matilda here, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know. Tilda Price from back in the day. You may remember who I am, but I'm so out of the loop with women's cycling. Well, I'm not out of the loop, but I'm not in the inner circle currently. I will be back very soon, but I'm not on the tour and I feel like I've disappeared. But I just wanted to say I'm loving the podcast so much. I love the insight that you guys have with Iris, and especially love just the fun and chats that you have. And as someone who's very much missing being at the race, it's nice to have these things to listen to, which make me feel like I'm a part of it a little bit. And I just wanted to drop in an opinion, my hot takes. And I'm going to say it now, this tour has been so much better than last year. Would you agree? I don't know if it's just a slightly different perspective because I was there last year and now I'm watching much more of it, but I just feel like the storylines and, even the drama, I'm not saying that I enjoy the quite negative situations that have occurred with disqualifications and Danny Stam and stuff like that, but the drama has made for intrigue, and the winners as well. Last year, all the winners were hitters, which is great. But this year, it finally feels like, people who aren't big winners are getting their chance. And these last 3 wins, I've just loved them so much. The way they were achieved, the drama, what it means for those riders, and how some really young riders have proved themselves, or riders like Emma Norsgaard, who have been going through a bit of a change, have proved that they can still win. Yeah, I just think it's been amazing, and it has been a real privilege actually to get to watch all of it and not have to stress so much about being on the ground. I've still been working, but yeah, it's been really nice. So I just wanted to drop. I know it's not the hottest take I've ever done. I couldn't cook up that much of a hot take, but I just wanted to say hello. And if this just ends up being listened to by Abby and that's it, then that's good too. I just love you guys, and I feel like I haven't been saying it enough. So yeah, have a good day on Tourmalet.